Hi, I'm Jack Becker, and thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this forum. I'm the founder and director of community engagement at Forecast Public Art, a 40-year-old nonprofit based in the Twin Cities here in Minnesota. When I graduated from the Minneapolis College of Art and Design as a sculptor back in the 70s, I was looking for opportunities and was lucky enough to get involved in a federal job program called CETA that was putting artists to work in the communities. It was a one-year job program, and I got a desk and a phone at the Minneapolis City Hall at the Arts Commission, and they told me my job title was gallery director. But there is one catch, Jack. They said, there is no gallery. They said, the city is your gallery, and your job is to organize exhibits of CETA artists at the library and the government center and the parks and the plazas. Now here's your desk and phone, now go for it. And so my job was basically connecting artists on one hand who were in the program with these public spaces and the audiences that came with them. Connect the artists with their messages to the various audiences in these public spaces. And for me, it was like thinking about connecting materials, connecting artists with audiences, ideas with issues. And I found that I was pretty good at this because I had done found object sculpture, and it's basically like thinking about the city as a bunch of raw material that you can connect and put together. And during that time, we went through outdoor sculpture shows and artists doing performances on the buses and exhibits at the libraries, and it was an amazing time that helped me realize that while I was interested in making it as an artist, I was also interested in helping other artists and looking at public space as a dynamic, interactive kind of black box theater. In fact, the public realm is really a canvas for artists' ideas. So there wasn't a job for me to go into after that one-year program. And some of the other CETA artists and I got together, and we started thinking about ways to keep it going. And that's when Forecast as a nonprofit organization started up in the late 70s. And basically we went project by project, connecting artists' ideas with spaces and finding grant monies through foundations to support them. And eventually, after 10 years of going project by project, we started an ongoing public art magazine called Public Art Review, and we started an annual grant program for artists in Minnesota who wanted to do projects at sites of their choosing anywhere in the state. And we still have those grant programs in the magazine going today. And our website is a great repository of content that we collect through the magazine, as well as documentaries of artists who've gotten grants through our grant program. And what's really great about this grant program is it is asking artists what ideas they have and where would they like to go, and to take their creativity to communities and make a difference there, which is very different than sort of the European patronage model of the people with the money commissioning artists to do what they want the artists to do. So instead of a top-down public art model, this was a bottom-up model. And how can we incubate independent producers in the public art field and help them take their creativity and apply it to where they see needs in communities? And through doing this program and documenting those projects over the years, we began to realize that more and more artists are really interested in applying their creativity and making meaning in the world, and find it more rewarding in many ways than trying to sell their art as a commodity in the marketplace. And this field of public art, since the beginning of Forecast's involvement, the field nationally and internationally has grown tremendously, and you're seeing a lot more DIY public art, and artists finding crowdfunding and independent funding sources to help them realize their own vision. And in many ways, public art as a practice is closer to theater than it is to the visual art notion of working in your studio and putting a show up in a museum where it's please be quiet and don't touch. Rather, it's a dynamic interaction and a collaboration of artists working together and artists working with other sectors to create projects. And having a facilitative agency is critical, and that's what I've learned, is that Forecast as an entity that helps artists realize their own dreams in the public realm, and also communities that are looking to have artists work with them, is a really critical fulcrum in this equation. That artists have a difficult time figuring out how to make this happen. Mostly they aren't learning about it in school. Communities that are favoring public art and wanting to commission artists don't know how to find the artist and where's the talent and can you help us? And so in addition to the magazine and the grant program, which we've had going now for almost 30 years, we developed a consulting program to actually earn revenue for our small nonprofit organization. And so I've moved into the consulting field and have helped many, many different kinds of clients and communities, from government agencies to developers to neighborhood organizations to independent artists who want help doing their own projects. So public art, I think about it less as an art form and more as a field of inquiry. You know, not unlike science or medicine, where artists are looking at the city as a laboratory or a playground to experiment, and there's this sort of trial and error, cause and effect experimentation, and you never know what's going to happen when you create a project and put it in public. You can paint a mural and have it all planned out what it's going to look like, but you don't know how people are going to react or interact with that. And it's an iterative learning process for artists. So what they learn from one project they can apply to the next. And making mistakes is actually a valuable learning opportunity for artists. So I encourage risk-taking, and it's okay to fail, because that's what's going to help you learn and grow. Communities now that are wanting our help include cities that want public art master plans, and they want to look at the way art and artists can help with larger community health issues, from environmental issues to the racial divide, or any number of issues that cities face. There's artists dealing with that. And it's great to be able to help communities envision what would make life more livable. What does livable community mean? We're integrating public art into city initiatives and neighborhood revitalization efforts and private developments is a norm, and that every citizen and worker and visitor has the opportunity to freely experience quality art and creative expression as part of their daily lives. So this is the kind of goal that a lot of cities are interested in seeking. And again, creating some kind of master plan for that with policies and procedures and a public art program that can be not just a city program, but a public-private initiative and a partnership that's shared is really one of the best ways to develop and grow and nurture the art and the talent that's in your community. A lot of communities want to commission art and they find out the talent isn't in their community, that they have to import the talent from elsewhere. And so we try to help communities that want to foster the professional development of the creative talents in their own communities, and not just visual artists. So poets and performance artists and festivals and pyrotechnics and these interactive collaborations. This is where social interaction starts to develop. And when we think about public space and how important that is for social cohesion, the artists and the public art can play an enormously important role in bringing people together, allowing interaction, and sparking dialogues and conversations between people who maybe would never meet each other, never talk to each other, and find out they actually have a lot more in common, and how could they work together. The other thing artists are good at is community engagement. We often overlook the process in public art and just think about the product, or even the products of cities and the built environment. Or what we really should be looking at is, as important, if not more so, is this process. And when you think about community engagement and the creative roles that artists can play, and what values could it bring to city planners, to developers, to elected officials trying to figure out what are ways that we can have more livable communities, I'm here to tell you, artists should be at every table. And these are some of the recommendations that I would bring to you. For citizen initiatives related to public art, is think about artists early on in the development of public space development, and early on at the table of private developments that allow for public space components. think about artists not just in the development of the public art, but once the art's created, what happens? Many people think, well, we're going to commission a mural and it's going to be beautiful and the artist project is done now and we can rest. And it's, but I'm here to tell you that's when the life of the art is just starting in the community. And so thinking forward and anticipating what kinds of experiences do we want long term, and what are these seeds we can plant now that will have these long-term and interactive components to them is what will help ensure, I think, the kind of livability that communities are after. So I'm very excited that I'm going to be coming to Lima and to meet with students and faculty and engage in placemaking exercises and bring whatever expertise I can and hope that some of that will rub off, some lessons will be learned, and that placemaking and community engagement will become an integrated part of daily life and the work that people do in Lima and around Peru, and hopefully spread throughout the world. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to hearing more about this forum afterwards.